Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Breakfast with Max. I'm here today with the amazing Roxanne Swainhart. Um, I'm very happy to have her here with me again. But I am playing with that again because, in fact, I don't feel like it is again because this Roxy is. I said Roxy 3.xo. It's she's a completely and new Roxy with and it's time, and I think I want to discover more about this new Roxy, and I think that you want to, everyone wants to say, Roxy, what are you now?
I love it.
uh, Hello.
Hi. Hi, Max. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. um
Good. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, I mean, right? We're talking often and exchanging often, working together and everything. So
Mhm.
we know very well each other very well, and
Sure.
so it's very obvious now that there has been a huge big evolution in you as a being, and in you as a channeler and a awakener, ascensional, whatever it is, doesn't matter what. There has been a huge shift for you, and it's
Yes.
expressed in your persona, but also in your work. So
Yeah.
I'm,
So
I'm
you thought it, hey, let's talk to the new Roxy.
exactly.
Good. Well, again, thank you. Where do you want to go?
Well, I think that I'd like to start as a starter with your what you are offering now, because you have completely changed what you are offering. You had the deconstruction of the ego sessions, and now you have moved into a apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to have a view of this apprenticeship, and
Sure.
the idea, how did it come to be, and how this represents you now.
Great question. So we're evolutionists, as a species, it would seem. Our species have evolved, and part of that co-creation is realization of self through reflection, reality. So each individual is evolving themselves, but not in a content of purpose or outcome. And from my standpoint, of what's natural is better said. And there's a natural evolution in your life. And when you start to become aware, as we're doing this work, you become more aware of your reality, your behavior, and your interactions with things. And when I started off, I had sessions, and I evolved the sessions to a couple of different sessions. I did Sylvester classes for many years, and uh, those classes were one-time fee for people to come in, and they were in for life as long as we ran them. Um, is better said because life is eternal. so so when I went into, I kept the sessions during those things, and I was working with abundance of self. I was working with money, and my whole paradigm around that money and around that it's dirty. We don't have it. We're poor. We're not of this nature. And you have a thousand dynamic interactions with the relationship with money and charging for sessions. When you hear all this, just absolute fucking diarrhea about the truth of it, and as you evolve, you start to just command your reality. So, one of the natural changes was at one time to end the slide classes and begin the ego classes, much like what you thought your course on wealth. It's a personal level, you know. It's not so broad as the slide classes, and with the slide classes, people got one on ones. They call me up and say, "Hey, look, can we talk about something?" And we just have a little thing. That was part of the slide class, and then they have a little bit of personal work, but the sessions the sessions turned into something of a taxing, um, a pain in the ass, because the people were still looking at sessions as, hey, I need answers to my reality, and I don't work in answers anymore. So that was a natural progression for me, is to see that in reality, those experiences of self are the evolution that don't muster up a permanency of a relationship in your memory. So, in other words, what you were is not what you were. What you are is what you are. So, you live now and you got to be okay with the relationship to what you create in your reality. And when it was done, it was done. So, sessions were still a vibration of this and that. And when you go beyond that, it becomes brutally tough to work with that kind of frequency of sessions, answers, whys, why nots, purposes, and all that stuff that people create as a truth in their reality, but it's not my truth, right? And so I said, before the sessions ended, I wanted to have people, the natural progression was ego classes. So we're deconstructing the ego. And I would kick the living shit out of people. They get mad, they get scream, it's bullshit, blah, 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 to rip them apart to see how they're fucking working their reality. And if they want to make the choice to see that about themselves, they do or they don't, either way. But it was epic for me. It was epic realization of my structures because it's my reality and the only one in it is me. So I'm interacting with that and evolving in these new concepts. And then the natural progression was no more ego classes because I was tired of working with the egos. Now I'm working with apprenticeship. Now, apprenticeship was an ascension idea, what it is to ascend beyond the ego. So people aren't afraid, they don't have fear, they have an awareness of wisdom to look at their behavioral self from a subjective point of view, an observer that sees their truths as a reality, but don't react to it anymore and break down that barrier of the ego no longer validating the reactionary self. Like when you get mad, or you get excited, or you have hope, or needs, or desires, or fears. All of those human experiences are that. And now this is a relationship to reality. The apprenticeship is a relationship to reality of past the point of reactionary to the reality and now inquisitive and an observer and a ponderer and a clay maker and start to form the reality with observation and pondering and looking at it and contemplating and sitting and musing about your reality and not only seeing that the reality is an attraction of light and you're the only one in it, but you get to do what you want with it, interact with it, and how you feel about it. And then the choices of that, it becomes your experience. So I was like, yeah, let's do the apprenticeship. And that was like anything else. Like the slide class came to me, like the ego class came to me. It's like the ego classes are ended. And it was a week later. And I was like, it just got it here. Here it is, Tommy. So intelligence is always attracting. Law of attraction um, works. So I told Tommy, my funny little honey, I was like, it's an apprenticeship program and it's going to be this. And we kind of played it out for like 3 or 4 days. And then we put it up on the website and I immediately had some people with it, but it was a little bit different. I wanted to interview them, talk to them, and accept them in the program. And I only take two a month. So it's a month-long program, but there's no set schedule. There's none of that kind of idea of structure. It's an interaction of intuition in the now. There's not the amount of times we get together and talk. It's not the quality of the 30 minutes or 60 minutes is not measured. It's all interaction of that mastery to own the reality and understand it. And it's something that's not labeled. You can't define it. Each apprentice is an individual experience. And so I only take two because I want a lot of time for me because I'm doing a lot of work and I want a lot of time available for them. So I drop the sessions, drop the ego classes, and have two apprentices a month. And I have time for my flute, yay, and I have time for my ponderings. I was telling you before about the epiphany I had, and that was a 30-minute pondering on the 6:30 in the morning this morning. I was cooking, um, this morning, and for lunch, and I had an epiphany. And I grabbed my tea and went outside and sat and pondered for 30 minutes. I have that time to do that. We live in time and we create those moments. And so I have time now to work on myself instead of, you know, three, 2, 3 sessions, sometimes a day, and five, six, seven, sessions in 2 or 3 days gets, consuming in time. And I was like, yeah, that's done. And that's what we talked about in the master class night last night. There's a knowing in you when you've evolved something, and to keep continuing in that because of an idea of structure. It provides you with stability or security. A constant income in this case would be one of the provisions that are provided. Is just an illusionary idea of an experience. It's not right or wrong, and it's not true or false. It's the perception of it, of course, is true to the singularity, but how everyone projects that in a reality, or interprets that in their reality, is still subjective. So my reality, I didn't need the stability of that because I'm a creator. So the other ideas about money came in, and it all is playing out because I create a now. I don't create time. Time is my experience of the evolution with my memory. So that was one of the really, really epic ideas about knowing. And time to end, when I ended the slide classes and started the ego classes, and the ego classes only lasted a year, and then we're now into the master class. Well, the master classes on Zoom, that not that, but into the apprentices. So yeah, fucking a, man. It was epic.
Oh yeah. uh,
Yeah,
and having, let's say, observed the transition from, let's say, the distance. I remember when you talk about it, and it's funny because uh, at the beginning, when someone delivers you a new idea, saying, "Oh, I'm going to structure my offering in a completely different way," you say, "Oh, how are they going to do that?"
yeah,
And then my thing is, well, you'll figure it out. It's right. It's your thing. But what I'm getting at is that how easy it is for me for saying Rox is going to figure this out by herself, whereas it comes to the self, and in a structure that is right, work, money, and these kind of things, there you become much more fearful, and the decisions are much less, let's say, easy to take, or uh, they appear to be more difficult, let's say. uh,
right.
right. And I've seen in many instances, but I think that when it's the self, is always something different. When you're confronted with someone else, it's easier to give that confidence that things are going to play out well. I don't know, it's at least my observation there.
Yes.
um and I think that it's amazing because one also sees that this has immediately took over. It right, you really are in that abundance, right, say, on that wealth worth, where
Yep.
you didn't need to advertise or go through, I don't know what, it just
No.
happened.
Well, I trust law of attraction. One of the things that, again, I think I've said this a few times in a couple different interviews. 2014, I think it was, when Osiphus channeled Effortless Gods. He wasn't kidding. That's a true reality. Whether you choose it or not is irrelevant. That's a singular choice. I can't manage other people's realities, right? Because every singularity is true to themselves, right? So I just took that as a subject, and I was like, wait a minute, law of attraction, there's nothing in there that says law of pursuit. law of need, law of desire. Those are all created experiences. The law of attraction is the vibrational match to you moving through consciousness, and it takes care of itself. So the natural now, when I left the slide classes and I only had the sessions, that was a big step of fear for me. I had to walk through that fear and then see what was coming. And the ego classes presented themselves through a person, said, "Hey, Roxy, I really like maybe you to work on the ego with me. Can you give me some classes on these? Can me and you do some one-on-ones, like a block of classes?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that's not them thinking of that. That's my reality attracting to me with an offering. I don't need to assign it to them because they're in their own world experiencing that, right? I'm not going to assign it to an idea of another and externalize it. It is my reality, and however I perceive it is my individual bubble experience. So that was me, the awesomeness of me, the love of me, the value of my worth offering that shift. Now, in that co creation, I was like, oh my God, epic idea. Thank you for so much, because that's the interaction. But I know it was attraction and I didn't have to manage it. And the same thing with the apprentices. I immediately got two apprentices and boom, now we're working. And all I had to do, well, literally, Max, I didn't have to figure it out because it was presented, you know, there were some things I was like, okay, let's work this and bounce it off of Tommy, and then one immediately called as soon as I put it up there, and she was from the Eagle classes and ready for some more material, and she goes, "Let's figure this out." And I was like, "Yeah, let's figure it out." So we're bouncing off each other, so you can call that figuring out. But the moment was presented, and then you explore the idea, just like all realities are unknown over here, and you're exploring them in the now. And as soon as they become known to you, you got to let that shit go and stop hanging on to it in the memory. And that's why I knew it was time for the ego classes to end, because the relationship with the ego classes is the work I've already transcended. So I can't evolve anymore if I keep doing what I know. And that was a structure. So I was always repeating a self in that idea. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to go and move on to something of a different dynamic. And it was like this. It was like ready. It's like, hey, Roxy, they're done. And as soon as you let go, it's like slipstream. And you're now that's in the known. The unknowable is still there. It's constantly, and the now is what I'm exploring. So I'm in the world of the apprenticeship and working with this, and then I'll get another apprentice next month or another two. It depends on if they continue or whatever. However, it's going to play out is relevant because it's never presented in time. It's always presented in now, and it takes care of itself. So it was a fantastic idea, pardon me, of self realization, of seeing it is effortless, of seeing law of attraction works. And the value of it is the expression of self, how I feel about me. Am I worth this experience? Because it's unjudgeable and there's no one in charge. So the only one who's ever been judging is me, the little old fractal that didn't know it was a creator. And as you evolve and start to observe and start to realize relationship with realities, those standards that you held on to as identity start to crumble away. And then all of a sudden you're in this whole new world. So yeah, the apprenticeship program, epic. Did I answer your question? Because sometimes I just
Oh, you
I
can
babble
go.
on.
You
I don't
can
know.
keep
I
going.
love
There,
talking.
no problem. We're on topic anyway. But the law of attraction was the main topic in last night. Um,
Yes, there was a lot of
Live
stuff
test.
about that.
Yeah, a lot, and we are and we are now every well, it's every time, right? We were talking about this recently, saying, well, every time we have a masterclass, it seems that it's so it going up in levels, but it's simply
Yes,
right. We are attributed, we are interpreting it that way, but it is
it
nevertheless
is. Well, A, it's
right.
new and it is different. And if you're open to the experience and not relying on the memory in comparison, it's going to be automatically better.
Yes.
And it is because it is.
And also, what I've noticed in relation with that, and we'll go back to the law of attraction. I'm not forgetting that, but I was using
Go
this
where you want to go.
now because I have noticed watching you in the classes that it's not just the material that has this impression, right? This thing of improvement and everything. It's also your interaction and your the way you do it, you create
Yeah.
it, you bring it. I remember when you had that big shift in the way you channel.
Yeah.
You took some time to go in the state
Yeah.
to bring the being, and now everyone can see that it's quite instant, right?
Yeah. That evolved. It went from this way to get into form, which was a relationship to memory. And then I let go of it and allowed this way to get into channeling state, which was a process somewhere very long. And it was a different presence, it was a different quality. And that was my evolution. And now I get that same frequency, this this unknowable frequency of my memory, that doesn't lie in my memory, better said, but it is current in the now. But now slipping into it has been an evolution. So now it's almost instant. And last night's class, the presence, during it, I wasn't there. So it was very interesting coming back because Sly was like, "Where is she?" Is what Tommy was telling me. Hey, where is she? Where is she?
Yeah, I heard
And
that in one.
yeah, and I was just focusing somewhere else. And in that other idea, when I came back, it's not that this time I didn't get the memory of channeling and the whole conversation. What I got was a conversation about what happened. The internet was having problems. It was all over, the world. There was a little bit of choppiness, and then as I'm remaining the night, all of the channeling and when Sly's channeling started falling in, and I was starting to, oh, well, that was good, that was good, that was good. So I was experiencing not in the moment, but in a different moment. So that was
Yeah, but
my.
I was going to say, and the thing linked to that that goes with that is that also when you bring Sly or Cepheus and everyone else,
Yeah,
especially with those that we are more acquainted with, right? Those
yeah,
which are
yeah.
Sly and Cepheus, you can notice that their personality
There's
is
change.
not as changed. It's not exactly the same. There is an evolution there too. Um,
Absolutely, everything is evolving, everything is shifting, everything is changing. When Bashar said the five laws, change is the only constant except for the first four laws. So change is a constant, right? So that's a constant that remains. So when if I channel Sly in my memory, that's a certain experience. It's not right or wrong. It's an expression. But I know the quality of Sly is not in my memory. It's in the now. So if change is the only constant, why would it be the same Sly?
that's true,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Um, and but with that, all that is also right. What has this taste of the information that you are channeling is so improving, bringing us to new stages of understanding, of evolution, of working with ourselves uh, through really right in the law of attraction as it was presented last night. It's
yes.
simply you're there. Oh wow,
They're
this
new concepts. They're
yes
new experiences, and
yes
and and that challenges the memory. It challenges the stability of the singularity because we don't need stability, we don't need safety, we don't need permanency, we don't need creation to tell us that we're safe and secure. Those are perceptions of the human reality. By nature, we're existent, so there's no loss of self. There's only experience of reality, and
So
those concepts challenge it. It was fucking phenomenal.
yeah. So I wanted to come back to something. Law
Okay.
of attraction and creation reality. So there's one of us, or right? They were talking about our the one, right?
Yep. Yep.
Where everything starts and nothing happens there.
Because there's only one.
There is only one. Uh, and at our level, this idea of unity, of oneness, say, well, forget that because
We're already one.
you're already one, right? And you play into that.
Yeah, only the division of the singularity creates more than one. It creates it as with labeling. And that's not right or wrong. That's experiential. This is a concept to realize uh, the singularity. Without all, doesn't know anything. It has to have everything.
And so,
The one and all idea. Go ahead.
yes, the one and all, but right, we go into creation in say everything is real. So when you are interacting and everything is alive, so all here is full of being, whether they are there is conscious or not, doesn't matter. Everything is alive and everything is having an experience, whether
Everything is
it's in the
having an
building of my
experience.
body or whether it's in the building of
Everything is life. Absolutely.
everything. And but what is fascinating now is the idea, right? The interaction that we are having. You are here in my reality, I'm there in your reality, right? We are interacting, and each one of us has their reality and with the interaction. But
Yep.
each one of us has their own perspective.
Absolutely.
In the idea that everything that is in my reality is created by me, and everything that is in your reality is created by you, and universally like that for every being, then quid of you in my reality and me in your reality.
I missed that. What?
So then, in that idea of that the being, the creator creates everything in their reality,
Yeah.
how do you account of what about the co-creation? So what about you in my reality? I'm supposed to create you in my reality, right?
You are creating me. See, that's the thing about creation. I never liked that. You create your own reality. No, you interpret your reality. Reality is
Bingo,
already
that's
there.
the thing. Yeah.
Reality is constant. You are interpreting it as your experience of reality and each individual. So let's say law of attraction takes care of everything. And let's say law of attraction uh, brought a uh, phone into my life, and this phone is an idea. So I didn't create that phone because there's singularity consciousness in there experiencing itself as this material, what we would call a phone, right? They didn't create themselves. They're an awareness. They're an expression. You created a human idea of a body, but the human body is a co-creation. The human body, the parts of the human body are singularities attracting to a moment to experience. So that's a hard concept, but I don't create my TV, my flute stand. I don't create the computer. I don't put things into place like the idea of humanity with intention to make something. That's a human experience. A human experience. In the moment when there is metal being poured to create steel, and that steel is formed into an idea of a girder, and that girder is in a building, and the building in the concrete, and in time we build. That's what we create, but it's every single moment. All those things are attracted by law of attraction to experience that idea of that singular moment. So I don't create shit. It's everybody else, the realities, being themselves, creating an experience in what they represent, an incarnation. So the incarnation of the mug or the cup, plastic, the pen, sapphire, it's all life. It's one and all. If you go back to the laws, all existence is law one. That means everything is alive, everything is experiential. The rock knows itself because you kicked it, you skipped it, it was rained on. Everything is experience. So when I think I have to make those things, I don't. All I do is get the hell out of my way because I'm not what? I'm no longer outside of myself as a reflection, looking back at me and having the ability to judge my reality, feel guilty about myself, suffer the pain of my doings, of my things. That's a objective point of view. That's the fractal separated from the singularity. When you go back into the singularity, you know it's a world of attraction that you don't have to do anything except enjoy. But you don't enjoy it with the emotions of the memory of the fractal, which only give you a polarized experience. What you do is enjoy and realize this reality is co-created for the idea, but not in purpose and need and lessons and all that stuff that human structures. It's an experience of consciousness that doesn't have bounds or intention. It doesn't have reasons. It's nothing except, hey, what do you want to do with this? It's all up to fucking you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that gave me the freedom, and that freedom allowed me to ponder concepts beyond what was in my memory and what I learned during my ascension. Having the courage to let go, as Bashar said, let go of the rung of the ladder that got you there, or you're never going to climb. You got to let go of a truth. And that was the knowing that Sly talked about last night. It's just, oh, I'm done watching this type of TV show. Oh, I'm done using Facebook. Oh, I'm done drinking this kind of milk, or I'm done doing this. It's just a knowing inside of you. But the ego always has a problem with change because it's always validated itself in safety and security and identity that stems time, like what you've done in your life and your resume and all the stuff they you get diarrhea of the mouth to tell you how awesome and you are. You're only selling yourself a fucking story. The other person, whatever you tell them, is going to say yes or no to that anyway, and that's their choice about relating to reality, which is none of your fucking business, right? So you get better at that. So what I discovered is I don't create a reality, I relate to reality. I interpret it. If I literally put everything together piece by piece, I'll know that then. But I'm not going to sit there because it's not a knowing. And I can't, what? I can't ponder that. I can't explore that because there's no tools and allowance of that. Right now, I'm understanding this reality. And I express this reality as myself, and those who create me in their reality as an experience do what the fuck they want with it. Now look at that. Look at that magnificence. Look at the magnificence of creation, the priceless of creation, with literally it's unconditional, no one's in charge, and it's just this one dude through an infinite number of dudes and dudesettes all around creation, whatever incarnation they are, knowing itself. And I need something to know myself. If there's only one, I can't see shit because I got nothing to fucking look at. Because I am always subjective. So, in order for me to experience my subjective universe, I got to have Max. I got to have my Apple. I got to have my clock. I got to have my hair bandana, my glasses. I'm experiencing my body. The way I present it, the way I express it is vibration. You know, my incarnation is mine. And I'm going to do with it because I know that it's me that's creating my reality, but not in manifestations, not in putting things together. That's intelligence can say, hey, just do this. And how do you know what to do? Well, as Seth said, there's always a self in the now that knows because that's intelligence of the moment. It takes care of it. All you have to do is trust yourself and express it and not let the ego of time. And I was like, I'm done with that ego. You want to still want to know why and have a reaction and talk about your diarrhea? Get the fuck out of my world. I'm not playing with you. That's your world. In this world I attract, I have choice. In the ideas of humanity, that change of self is presented sometime in ways that are like, oh man, I'm not going to do this anymore. No, no, you just don't. That's a validation of self. That's a validation experience of my evolution to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to choose what the unknown is. And I have no idea how to do it, and I don't know what it is. But I know one thing, I'm now, and I'm fine. I've always been awesome. So all of these were tools that I used to get to a point of I don't need tools anymore because creation takes care of it. So creating realities was an interpretation, an evolutionary interpretation of my choice is my perception, which is immediately my experience. And my experience doesn't lie anymore in the idea of polarization. I can't have a good time and I can't have a bad time. I have the motion of life that doesn't solicit a memory, and it is beyond good. It is beyond joy. It is a knowing that is only discoverable. You have to find this self. It's the isness, and it's priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This, right, all is interpretation of reality. So that
that's
that
right. Yeah, and
that
anyone
right,
can have what they want with that.
yeah,
That's the magic.
yes.
That's fucking magic.
You right, before I was there trying to understand this point, right, of I'm creating, but then how do I explain your presence in my reality, right? And then we were said everything is real.
Yeah,
Okay, so that what I'm creating, when I'm creating Roxy, it's real. Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
reality.
right.
Real is reality.
But
It's
then,
always here.
yeah, that's
What you want to say about it, that's fake. That's your reality. That's your real truth about fake. I love
yeah.
it.
So then you also realize that in fact, and back to what right, your evolution and everything, that everything is taken care of, is that then you realize also that through your interpretation you do not need to be on any fear for anyone else, because they are going to interpret their reality their way,
Yeah.
and that's all. And
Yeah,
if
that's it.
you want to be fearful or in right in any, it's just you interpreting it still, right, and deciding, oh, I'm fearful for my mother, for my sister. Oh, how, what are they going to do?
And that's a human experience.
Yeah.
Let them have it. We offer the change.
Oh,
I'm offering a different way to look at reality. Whether anyone chooses it is no regards to me because I don't have a regards for the
right.
audience. I'm not externalizing. This is a subjective reality and I'm experiencing it.
You spend a lifetime worrying about everything, and then
And worrying is just an experience of the now. Nothing plays out in time. Each now is unique to itself. The memory can call it, oh, that was the cause, that was the effect because of this, because of that. And that's the nature of the space time continuum and the co created psyche of humanity using memory to experience assignment of an external idea to cause this and cause that. Because that's the bubble, kids. That's the fucking world we're playing in. That's the human experience. It's a unique point of view that lies uniquely right here, and it starts and stops right there in the human perspective.
right.
But within that human perspective is an infinite number of ways, because it's unconditional by nature, to experience the human.
Yes,
All up to you.
it's perfect. And and you realize there that you, right, the what is the human experience and what are the laws, uh, is that in fact everything else outside of the laws is interpretation.
If you look at the laws, they don't tell you what to do. They're not anywhere a structure, they're not a limitation. They're the ideas on And it's all up to you to create your reality through your experience, through your choices, through your relationship. Everything is relationship, said Seth. I read that. Can't remember which book it was, either Seth Speaks or Seth Material, whatever one it was. Um, I was like, oh my gosh, that's how I experience, how I feel about it, how I relate to it. And then in the evolution of this, I understand two selves, the creator, the natural, and the fractal. The fractal has a distinct feeling, not an objectification of defining you. Get past the ideas of the labels because that's just going to keep you in the world of distraction. Huh? You got to feel yourself in the interaction of the moment, behaving through a belief system of structure that's validated in time and human experience because you were separated. Okay. And that has a distinct feeling. And then isness is a completely different. But you can't try to get to isness using this tool. You got to tear down this to see what's always been there. And then you realize the two selves. That's the human side of me. I'm never going to forget the human side of me. It's a part of me. But I don't relate to reality through that, right? I don't relate to reality because it's part of my isness. I don't relate to it as a truth anymore. I always tell people is like, uh, you want to go smash your hand with a hammer. One time you're just going to say, okay, I think I got it. I've had enough of this fucking pain. I don't want to do it anymore. So you don't. So there are particular parts of yourself that you evolve through your lifetime. It's not your thing. But the idea is to validate that self and feel it. And then when you observe it, you feel a new self, a self of worth, a self of distinction, a singularity that can't be labeled, an isness that you desperately try to label and do it and want to call yourself this and do that and all this stuff. But what it is, it's your universe and you're finding your eternity. And it's a distinct feeling. It's not a label. It's not a structure. It doesn't lie in the memory. It's a knowing in the now that is only discoverable in my idea. I can explain it to you using every human idea, but you're never going to feel it. No one can do that. That's the choice of the ascender. That's the choice of one to ascend the relationship of the fractal, returning itself to its nature, which is then law of attraction, as it always takes care of the journey. It's been taking care of the journey in the idea of your memory, your past. When you stop choosing those things, why would your life get worse? Why would it get better? It becomes unconditional, it becomes priceless, it becomes the nature of things. Outstanding. Yeah.
Yes. Um, so I wanted now to, um, let's say, to explore. I come to you, you already touched on this, but I'd like to go a little bit more into.
Every world's huge. Let's go.
So I contact you, and so I watch your website. I see that there is this idea of apprenticeship, and I say, "Oh, I'd like to do it." What is the process?
Well, for the apprenticeship, it's an email, and then I do an interview. And if you're still in my frequency, my truth, in that idea of still working with the ego, I'll tell you, go do some more work. Watch my videos. Everything about the ego and the relationship to the fractal as the true self, you can start to deconstruct and observe. But I'm not going to help it along anymore. The ones that are in the apprentice have looked at the ego, done the work, and are living in this life and attracting an idea, me, and I'm attracting them, the apprentice, to explore ascension without the structures of humanity constantly in place, validating an invalid idea that's no longer preferenced by mine. So I do an interview. And I was like, no, you got to do some more work, or yeah. And, I got a few that are
There are in.
waiting for that.
So
Well, yeah,
I'm
two that are in and people that are in line.
right, and let's say
Not many, not many.
I'm one of the lucky. You accept the apprenticeship. Then what happens? How do you structure it? You said it's something that you keep free,
It's
so
a
open.
month long. When I feel like calling the apprentice, I'll call the apprentice and say, "Let's talk. I got an idea." I get that thought. That's the attraction. Say, "Hey, let's talk." They say, "Hey, I want to talk about something." We talk. There's no structure. There's no amount of time. There's no daytime, nighttime, or anything like that. We just know it and it says, "Hey, let's get together at this time." Yep, perfect. Let's go. It's already done. I have to just get out of my way. I don't need to manage it. You know, and it doesn't. It's not for an hour or half an hour, 20 minutes. It is what it is in the moment. It is what it is in the moment, and then it continues on from there. And whatever, yeah, in whatever regard that happens. That was the first idea. If the apprentices change and the idea changes, well, here's what I got. One day, not now, maybe in another 4 or 5 years from now, the apprentice will be um, in person, living, living wherever I'm living, or I don't see me living with them, but maybe living on a property, and we dynamically work, of course, on Zoom and stuff. But there's a lot of in-person idea. So there's an idea, and that's over there. I can feel it. It's part of my expanded now, but it's not in my now. But I get these intuitions, this insight of probability changes, but I don't attach to them and try to get to it because then I'll fuck it up with my lack. Because that's a human nature. The nature of creation is attraction. So that's coming. So as I explore this, the apprenticeship might redefine itself, evolve itself, because the apprenticeship is an idea and that apprenticeship moves as an idea between the co-creators, or in my world, a reality of change. My constant reality. So yeah, that's what it is. So if you get that nod, and then there's a spot available, and then we start.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, right, for anyone that may be interested or wanting to take this path of discovery and everything, right? You have this opportunity to work with someone like you that uh, and right, we talk about this, is that you have this aspect of truth, of being totally truthful with yourself, so
brutal
that
honesty.
honesty, yes, and
Yeah,
that means that you are invested totally into what you're doing. You're not doing
absolutely.
it for to fulfill anything or whatever. It's because you are completely invested in it. it's
Yeah,
it's you.
without intention. This is I could not do this. You know, that's the next part of it. You know, it's like it's like I knew I couldn't work with the externalisms anymore, validating and managing people's externalism because it was a created experience. It's not that I'm helping them or hindering them. We're co-creating in the scope of things. But if that idea of the ego classes worked for people, awesome. And it did, because I got a lot of feedback of evolution. So that was my experience. And in their world, they're creating that co-created moment as a subjective point of view of evolution of themselves. So they see the light within themselves and they choose different and create different realities. So in my perception and our shared perception, it fucking works. But then to keep doing it and then allow this to come in is the mastery. You go. So when I knew that if someone was looking to still validate externalism, then I knew no, you gotta make this world go and do some more work, you know, and then it just takes a life on its own, and that kicks the ego's ass because the ego goes, I'm this and I'm that and I'm doing this. What are you doing? Is it worth your time? Is it a waste of time? What's it going to lead to? What now? What now? What now? And all that fucking stuff. That's great. Yay, man. Love it. But when you're done with that, brutality, lies, and honesty. Go to the honest self, and it's going to be brutal realization about the shit you're creating as a relationship, which is your experience, your feeling, your reality. And you got to be brutal honest, like, my God, that's me. That's not them. That's not them. That's me interpreting that. This is my bubble. This is my reality. And I was like, yeah, brutal honesty. So you can transcend the externalism and realize the subjective universe, and you're the only one in it. I mean, let me ask you a question. Here's a freaking question. How the fuck do I know? How do I know there's no other humans? Or there are actually humans? As far as I'm concerned, there's only one human, me. You're a reflection of consciousness making yourself a human, but from your point of view, you could be a dust particle. I don't know what you look at. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
So I'm
looking.
not concerned with that.
Yeah, because for you, I'm looking exactly the way you are interpreting me. Right?
Bingo. You
I
can't manage how I interpret you. If you're creating a human incarnation, which you are to your universe, I still can't know that as your truth. I only know that as my truth. So I started, with brutality and being humble to the idea of recognition of your own belief systems that interprets and experiences your world. You tear that down, and now there's this entire new world of apprenticeship, that the ascension to explore the unknown self. And you can't use crutches and tools of time and validations and why is this happening, and did you see what's happening in this nation and what's happening, and then you just spend your time in reality creation subjectifying the ideas of polarity, which is not right or wrong. It's reality, it's truth, yours. Magnificent. the, the realization of creation in its simplest form is so fucking freeing. It's priceless. Anyways, go ahead.
yeah, that right and this is also one of the things that we have already discussed, but yesterday was also in the class, is that the creator doesn't watch, doesn't see the creator. The creator doesn't
Doesn't see.
have an
It
image,
can't
right?
see itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's only looking at itself. Because one doesn't see anything. It's no thing. It's nobody's there. So we need all to experience. So that tells me if I can see myself, I have a fractal, a point of view. The,
exactly.
the Arcturians are seeing reality from a knowing place of creator, incarnating as a Arcturian, and they're having an Arcturian experience. I'm having a human experience. And my human experience was objectified until I realized, that's the nature of the human experience. And I'm creating that reality with that point of view. Shift your point of view, change your perception, relate to reality different. There's an entire new world.
Yeah.
Still in the same co creation, but the relationship is everything is different.
But and when we talk about the Octurians, it's still a human experience because we are calling them Octurians, right?
Arcturians. It's
We are not
our
calling them.
idea. It lies in the human world. Bingo.
Yeah, interpretation. And
That's
when
the experience of humanity.
yeah, which also brings right allows you to also to understand that our reality, right, the human experience, it doesn't have right is nothing diminished
No,
in any way. It's it's exactly the same as any other experience.
any other experience. It's priceless to the singularity. Whatever you're going to do with it, do with it. See, humans, by the nature and their memory, it seems, are less than. Like we're putting like, oh, they're Arcturians or ninth density beings and stuff. I'm not going to suck their fucking cock because they're a ninth density being, because they're not higher. No one's higher unless I perceive it that way. Like, oh, I gotta listen to the Arcturians. They're smart. We're not less than. We're fucking creators. Own that shit. and start to see you're a creator and you're not an experience of polarity any longer. We're all fucking masters. We're all isness. We just don't know it. And that relationship, that awareness, leads you to the idea of that priceless promised land of serenity and peace without being peaceful or serenity by purpose. It's the nature of our isness. And whatever they're experiencing, they're experiencing. We called them ninth density.
Yeah.
Bashar told us we're in the third density, fourth dimension. Different ideas. That's the human experience. We're only creating a reality that interprets that for the experience. But we're just in the now.
Yeah, and but right, just an idea that I'm having just now is that even for us, third dimension, third density, fourth dimension, we do not realize it naturally. Well, we have been told, right? But we do not see ourselves as any of that, and because does it matter really?
Well, to the human perspective, it does. We valued identity because
Yeah.
that's the only way we mattered. We made the reflection matter because we didn't know the subjective creator of that reflection, the human experience, the fractal, was valid.
Hmm.
And it's not valid through identity. The human is valid through identity. So it matters to the human because it gives it life, it gives it identity, feels and soothes the emptiness. Tear it all down, feel empty, but realize your presence in that emptiness. And then you'll feel that isness. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with a red pill. It's going to happen because you do the fucking work. You do the work.
True.
I got to get that shirt made. I got to get Colton. Colton, make this shirt. Do the work.
That right, and it's, however, right, we this thing is simply, reality is simply that we are third dimensional, but we
Yeah.
do not need to think about it. We do not need to go look after it.
And try to figure it out.
It's built
You
in. It's
can.
what we are.
Yeah, you can. Anyone can do what they want. But I know I don't do the things that I was taught anymore because those were external ideas of identity. I don't need to figure shit out because it's here. Now I'm going to experience it for what it is by the nature of it. And that doesn't have a purpose and that doesn't have a value of identity. It lies in itself in the purity of priceless creation knowing itself. And that's a state of awareness that you can't think about, create in intention and purpose, because those are time-based realities of lack to become different when you haven't even accepted what you are. Know what you are and you're already creator. You can't label that. Right.
Yes, and right now with this, when you realize this, you also must understand that these relationships with Sly, Cepheus, and every being that we channel
Yeah,
is
come on.
is co-creation. Is not a higher being giving us a little piece of sugar to keep us happy. Oh, you little third dimensional piece of shit. You choose wrong.
We're seeing that.
Right?
And that's the human idea, right?
Right. It becomes a real exchange, a real interaction, a real interpretation of reality, of
Bingo.
creation, right? Where we are together, not to, uh, in a idea that we have to be pushed in order to get higher.
Right. And we have to accomplish things and we got to do this in order to do that. All of that is structures of humanity knowing itself. That's a real valid reality. If you think you're going to ascend because you only eat this kind of food and you do this mantra, all this and all that, that's great. That's your experience. But you're already ascended and all you're doing is creating a now relationship wise. See that simplicity, know your mastery. Because there's no purpose in it. It's a now. It's a now. That's what it is. It's a now. It's always now. Ah, I love it.
Yes, and it puts right. This is what I love with this work is that we arrive at the moment
Bubbles,
where
hon. Hang on. Turn the bubbles off. The sound. Thanks. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no problem. We come to the moment where we realize that our interpretation of reality can evolve. It's not
Yes.
static. We
Never.
can
Perfect.
bring it into a new realization of the self. And when you realize the self, you realize reality, right? Because you are then interpreting it through your new understanding of the
Yes.
self.
Let's look at that point. People have intentional ideas about a human perspective that creates an identity, and it's very real and is very valid. So people think that's what they are, and that's a human experience. But when you use humility and brutal honesty to recognize those belief system structures that are in time, there's a quality about that. And if you realize that from an observation point by doing the fucking work, the internal work, this is my truth, this is my reality. I'm seeing them that way. They're not that way. That's not that way. I'm seeing it that. Owning your shit. And then you can start to feel different. And now that's a different self. That's the evolution. That's what you just said. That's magnificent. But you got to do the work. You got to understand yourself. It's effortless work. It's not hard. It's realization in the now. If you choose different, some of the choices are fucking brutally scary because you have no idea what's going to happen. We're taught safety and security. Our entire school system teaches you to become something and become something. And while they're doing that, they're measuring you. So you go out into the world chicken shit to make a decision because you're going to get measured and you don't want to make a mistake because then you look less than. What a magnificent human experience. Look at that greatness we've created to take the singularity and being an unconditional creator of all that is and dumb it down to a version where it absolutely abhors itself unless it's externally validated. Magnificent creation,
Yes.
master.
And a system where you are only failing because, right? How can you get have the best grade ever and keep it that way? You can't. You
Can't
are always graded something less. So and
always.
every
If
time
you
you are
accept that, if you don't accept it, then there's no validation or attraction of that reality anymore. You start accepting yourself as that awesome.
yeah, and I must say, um, I can talk for myself. I interpret myself, and through I started with the ego classes and deconstructing the ego, and now we have been working together for well some time,
Yeah,
and using my memory. So I have to use my memory for that. I
that's part of this world. The memory
exactly
is an ally.
yeah, and
Time
but
is an ally.
I see my evolution, and I see how clearly through that work I am now uh, in a reality where I can clearly say that I see my ego, I know my ego, and
Bingo.
I am able to see when I'm egotical. So
Yeah.
using the ego to interpret reality
Which you
self-destruct,
can,
and so choosing fear mostly, right?
which you can. You observe it, you can still choose it because it doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
only is your experience. No one's in charge of it. No one's going to give you kudos for choosing or not choosing the ego because it's your fucking bubble.
Yes, but also now with this awareness, I
Yeah.
know when that is happening,
Yeah.
so I can watch it and understand and accept it because right? It's always, you always accept these kind of things. But that brings me to a place where the ego is not leading the way.
It's observable, but it
It's
doesn't. You're not reactionary to it.
exactly so that I'm more open
Yeah,
to another interpretation,
of
which
course. And which is always there because law of attraction never leaves you empty. Your reality is constant, and there's always the constant of change. You choose the perception, and you get create a different reality, which is, of course is a different relationship with different frequency, different attraction, different world.
so that work is, I think, fantastic. But
Masterful.
then obviously you cannot remain forever working on the ego,
Of course not.
right?
That's why we left it. We're done with it. Bye bye.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Fantastic. And you say, wow, true.
There's enough stuff on the YouTube for my YouTube for people to explore. There's 8 years worth of work there. You see the evolution in me. You see the what I channel and what I don't channel anymore. You see my appearances change. Everything is about the evolution, and that's just a representation of it. It's not scripture. It's not the golden nugget. It's nothing except the reality that's attracted if you choose that, and then you get to experience it any way you want to. But you can realize the ego. And when you do, that's the key for me. That was the key for me. Oh, that's me. My anger about that is my anger. I don't define that anymore. See, I think one of the confusing things about humanity is you have to treat the other person. There's no treating the outside. It's your world. So if someone's being an asshole and you're going, "Oh, law of attraction is showing me something. I'm an asshole. I'm doing something wrong. Why is this negative in my being? I have to see." And you're kicking yourself in the ass and said, "Wow, you're a fucking asshole. Get the fuck out of my reality." And you make a different choice about things because that's your interpretation. If that person is being that person, that's their truth. What's your truth in that? You don't have to fix them or love them or accept them as a lesson there because that's just another objectification. The mastery is to see this is your reality of change. Do you want to change? If it's no longer preferred, have the courage to change. Have the trust in you, and you will see a different relationship to reality, which of course starts to manifest itself with law of attraction and the change of the world. I still live in the same apartment for a couple of years now, but it's not the same apartment when I moved in. You know, it all changes. Everything is just that magnificent.
Yes. Uh, you that's where you start really to interact with beings that you may know from your childhood or any experiences, and suddenly they are different, they are new persons. You sometimes you are even interacting with someone, you say, I don't know this person, and it's your childhood friend or whatever, and and they are different.
Yes,
They
yes.
it's a completely, I say, wow, yeah, of course, why
What what
shouldn't they, right?
what I loved about people is like, man, my mom said something that she's never said before. I would have never seen that. Well, because you're changing the relationship. You're not changing that person. You're not recreating the persona to fit you. You're not a puppet master. What you're doing is allowing a different expression out because you're changing vibrations of that dependency. So you're not feeding mom or the relationship of the externalism the same version of yourself. So there's a potential for a new view that you're extending to them as the creator, the light bearer, that's showing a different frequency within the human construct as an experience. And if they see that and they say something totally out the blue, you haven't seen them in 10 years and they're not the same person. Well, of course they're not because you're not. But you're not manipulating them. You're not making them clay and say, okay, there's how I'm going to program you. You're not a tyrant. You're a creator of realities. There's only one of us, right? Relax. We got this. Don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to get new versions. Of course, you're going to get that. And again, I say this: don't be so in awe of the change. When change comes, as Roxy, my God, this is changing. Emails. Oh my God, why? What do you mean why? What the fuck do you mean why? There's no why. There's change. We
Yeah,
taught that.
and
Be
then
awesome. Accept you're awesome. Accept the change. Be in the now and explore it. It doesn't need to mean, but that's the habit of the ego. What does it mean? Label it. Label it. Let me chalk it up. Let me tuck it in my let's say my defense systems of knowledge, so I'll know how to handle it and not die and not fail. And all that fear. It
that,
changes. You're awesome.
that's one of the things, right? And then Roxy comes in and kicks your ass. What are you talking about? But that's right. An important point is that don't be in awe of your of
Of your
your
awesomeness. You're a
awesome.
creator. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
And you are not extraordinary, so it's nothing extraordinary, right?
You're another run of the mill god. Booyah. Don't make yourself special. Don't make this moment. And look at this as a subjective, wow, I'm really experiencing my change. I feel different. I can't push it away and try to figure it out because then I'm dumbing myself down to the human because I don't deserve my own awesome. Think about this. If
Exactly.
we're awesome creators, why the fuck are we giving ourselves a shitty time? We're not. Our perspective is. Change your perspective and you go back to awesomeness. But you got to be okay with that. You got to have that embarrassing time of wow, my God, I am really that awesome and I don't have to do anything about it. That's what we are by nature. I don't need to earn this. I am this. And you start to accept that and it becomes wicked awesome. I'm so glad I got to use that word. Wicked is such a cool word. It's a 70s, 80s term. That's wicked, wicked awesome. It's a little aged, but then anyways,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh, right. What more uh, than that?
that's it.
That's
You just do the work, and the work is self awareness of the moment. For me, that's how I got here. If you go and you take the magical mystery tour of that reflection of my journey, which is a subjective point of view of attraction, if you make that choice of consciousness to view that reality and experience that, and therein lies uh, a wonderful view of change, you know,
yeah. And
and it's
again,
there.
I can only write my perspective, but what I've noticed for me is that after this work and coming from something, now I realize how wonderful reality is. Right, I watch
Yeah,
out of the window and I'm saying, wow, this is outstanding, this is magnificent. Wow, look at creation, look at what we have here in this moment, in this now, on this planet, this magnificence that we have created here in this earth, in this reality, in this interpretation. And suddenly you realize that you don't want to be anywhere else, that you are exactly here and now, exactly in the place where you want to be, and that there is nowhere else. How amazing.
where is there? There's only a reality of perception that you're actually somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is right. Also, the idea that I want out. No, there is no out. But beside that, then you realize, wow, yes, I'm here and now,
Yeah.
and I'm beautiful.
Start accepting everything about yourself.
Yes.
Start accepting everything about yourself. You know, everything. Because it's all reality. No matter if it's polarized, you still accept it. And I don't mean acceptance of self through, words. I mean the surrender, the humility, to where it shudders you and you feel embarrassed and guilty about yourself. and live those feelings and live those emotions and become those emotions so you can make them known to you and they shall transfigure because you never repeat the known. So experience guilt doesn't solicit more guilt. Keeping guilt outside of you remains it. Allowing guilt to pass through you, become the experiencer of guilt, and becoming the judger of the reasons why you externalize guilt as a cause of your guilt. That's your mastery. That's your experience. And when you accept that in the pure surrender of it, that's yours. You own your shit. Then you feel the transfiguration. It's becoming known to you. And then you'll never be that again because you've evolved it. Damn right.
Yeah,
Booyah.
magnificent. So we are coming to the end of our
Yeah, it's about
discussion.
time.
And wow, this is a blast. I had a lot of fun. I love having you here and exchanging with you. And it's just right.
Epic.
Epic.
Thank you, darling.
Yes. So I will, as always, add all the information uh,
Yeah.
in the
And
infinity.
let me say something on the when he adds my website. If you go into the website, there's a thing that says masterclass. That's every Wednesday. It's free to join. It's a Zoom link. You come in, you sit down. If you want the recording of the class, email me and I'll add you to the list. So it's a come and go as you please. There's no cost, like I said. Just if you want to join a channeling on Wednesday night, it's always there. The link is always there. Okay. And don't worry about what the dates say. You have to change the dates because you gotta Zoom doesn't allow it doesn't say it's infinity or something. I haven't figured it out anyway, to where you can make it permanent without dates. It just or every week I always have to renew it for another. And I don't even know if I need to do that because the link is not going to be invalid, but who knows? Anyways, so don't worry about the dates on the validation. Just click the link, join the Zoom, and
Yeah, and join, and
booyah.
you do not need any knowledge or anything. You
Fuck
come
no.
in. Yeah, that's
There's no
all.
prerequisites. There's nothing like that. That's an experience I offer to have to work on my channeling.
Yeah,
To hone my craft of channeling. It's an
so
experience.
everyone
It's
is welcome.
exploratory.
And there are no judgments. So if you
Of course
right,
not.
it's only your judgment anyway. But
Right.
it, you're welcome. And so join right website master classes,
Mm-hmm.
and if you are interested and you want to explore it, you can go into the apprentice
There's an apprentice
apprenticeship.
tab and email, and then we'll set it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can write again. I didn't do that, but we have worked together for a while, and I can say that working with Roxy is worth, absolutely worth your worth, and it's just
Booyah.
for you. An amazing experience for everyone. So it's really recommended. So now, thank you to everyone for joining in. Thank you, Roxy, and
Thank you,
to
Max.
everyone watching. In any moment you're watching this, it's till now. Thank you to all the beings that join us, because we know that they are joining us and watching us, and that we are in history, so everything is recorded. So thank you to everyone. In any moment you may watch this, and thank you to Roxy. Any if you want to add anything, please. It's fine.
Thanks
All
for
right.
joining in. I love you guys.
Love you, everyone. Thank you so much, and goodbye to the next time.